This episode of The Therapy Show is sponsored by Therapy Notes. Why not find out what more than 100,000 mental health professionals already know and try Therapy Notes for 2 months absolutely free? Just click on the link in the show notes or enter promo code LISA at therapynotes.com. Welcome to the Therapy Show podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Mustard. In each episode, I interview a seasoned and knowledgeable talk therapist from the counseling world to glean valuable insights, techniques, and tools that you can apply to your practice and your life. And if you're considering a career in the counseling field or just want to hear about what it's like to be a talk therapist, then this is the podcast for you. Well, hey friends, welcome back to the podcast. It's Saturday, and that means it's time for a Put It Into Practice episode. And I had a request to share a little bit about how I think it was meal prep and how I eat healthy. Let me double check that request, but I think that's what the request was. But before I jump into the topic, I want to tell you about my episode that came out this past Wednesday, which is with Tava Johnstone. She is a social worker in California who has created a program called A Therapist's Guide to Homeschool. And I interviewed her, and she is just amazing. She shared all her good stuff. And I think that if it's something that you've been considering, like you think maybe you want to homeschool, you should definitely give it a listen. And I'll put the link in the show notes so you can check that episode out. All right, I'm just trying to find, let's make sure. Okay, so yes, so the question was, I'd love an episode on what you eat and how you prep your food. And I believe this is coming from the perspective or the context of my episode from last week, which was on 10 tips for staying motivated. And the post I made on social media said that I'm still working out. I just don't post about it as much as I used to because I'm busy doing all the other things in my life. However, I still find time to lift weights and eat healthy. And I kind of say, like, I could use all those roles as excuses for not having the time to lift or prepare, but I am not one for excuses. So last week's episode, if you guys listened to it, it was about 10 tips for staying motivated. And so in this episode, I am going to talk a little bit about lifting weights. Well, I'll get to that, I guess, but mainly like prepping food, eating healthy as a busy person, as a busy mom. And so, I just turned 50. God, I was about to say 40. I just turned 50 on Thursday. So I'm recording this episode ahead of that. But by the time you hear it, I will be 50. So in the future, my future 50 self is talking to you, if that makes sense. And so some of y'all might know this, when I was in my late 30s, I was an advanced maternal age. I had our kids later in my 30s, and I got that, nice little label on my health chart when I was, visiting the OBGYN, which is fine. I guess there are, other things that you have to consider when you are advanced maternal age. And after I had the girls, I told myself that, I wanted to feel good in my skin. I wanted optimal and vibrant health going into my 40s. And so I made a plan as to how I was going to achieve that. And that plan included, and still includes, I lift heavy weights 3 to 4 days a week. And when I say heavy weights, I mean heavy for me. I'm not picking up the pink 3-pound dumbbells and doing, 50 reps of bicep curls. No. In fact, I rarely do bicep curls. Instead of bicep curls, I do things that are more like we call compound movements or compound lifts, which would be squatting and deadlifting and bench press and overhead press, pull-ups, rows, those kinds of exercises. So that's what lifting looks like for me. I do that about 3 to 4 days a week. And over the summer, it's usually 3 days. And I work out at home in the summer just because I am busy with work and with the girls, and my schedule isn't as it's flexible, but it's just not as rigid when they're in school and I can go to the gym as much. So at home in the summer, my workouts do change just a little bit, but I still lift as heavy as I can for the weights that I have at home. And I hear a lot of women in their 40s, mid to late 40s, talking about, the changes that happen as we get older, and they do happen and we can't stop them. And that's a natural part of life, right? And I hear a lot of women tell me, well, because of menopause, I have this weight gain through my belly, or because of menopause. I just want to come out and tell you, it's not because of menopause. It's not like menopause hits and all of a sudden this happens. It's because you're aging. The aging process does this to you. So in my mind, menopause isn't something to be solved or fixed. It's just a phase that we go through evolutionarily as women. And We have to cope with it. It's not something that we can fix. And you've heard that saying, like, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. Well, when it comes to menopause, the best time to start preparing for menopause was probably 20 years ago, or it's today. And I'm not here to like scream from the, I'm not a menopause expert. I just know the research that I've done and talking to my doctor and the things that I see and what I read. And I know some of y'all are going to say there's more to it, and there definitely is more to it. And I am not a doctor. Please do not listen to me. This is just my own experience when it comes to perimenopause, is that eat healthy, get your sleep, control your stress, lift weights, get your exercise in. Don't overdo it. Don't overdo it. We, in our 20s, we had that mindset of the more the better, that, because that's what worked back then, but our bodies were so much different back then. And as I hit my late 30s and early 40s, I learned that I couldn't hit the gym like I used to in my late 20s, early 30s. And I found that actually less is more when it comes to the gym. So I hope that makes sense. If you've never lifted weights and you are in your late 40s and you are going through, some changes, sure, do your walking, do your yoga, but I really want to encourage you to lift weight, because muscle mass decreases as we age, which is going to do the things to our hormones that we start noticing more and more. And I am not an expert. I am not scientifically trained on this stuff. That's just what I know and what I see. So every time that I start to feel a little like, oh, age, it's happening, I can't stop it. I don't want to. And it's better than the alternative. So I was really kind of scared and nervous about turning 50, but now I'm kind of excited about it. It's like, I still got a lot of years here. I've learned so much about myself in the past 10 years, even the past couple of years. Going into my 50s, I feel like it's going to be a good decade. So, all right, let's talk about how do you eat and how do you eat healthy? How do you meal prep when you are busy? First things first, I think you have to make the commitment to yourself that you're going to do it, and you have to know your why. Why are you wanting to eat healthy? And I'm not here to promote a certain type of meal plan. Everybody has different food preferences. Everybody has different, maybe, reasons for eating what they eat. I'll tell you what I eat and what I find works best for me. And my goals is I eat meat. I eat a lot of meat. I eat probably a higher protein diet than most women. Most women think that like 40 grams of protein is high protein. And that's just based on women that I talk to that I know. But I eat probably between 80 to 90 grams of protein a day, or maybe not every day. It is hard to get all that protein. And I will say, but when I look at my meals, I base my meals around protein, and that could be anything, any protein, but I try to eat as unprocessed or non-processed as possible. So that means like chicken and fish and turkey and beef and deer. Actually, what else do we eat around here? I guess that's pretty much it when I think about the protein that we eat. Like, we stick to meat protein as much as possible. It is rare that you will see me eat a meal that's carb-based, like so rare. You'll never see me eating a plate of pasta. You might see me eating a couple meatballs with a side of pasta, but I don't just go for like a plate of pasta. That would not do good for me in terms of my energy and really just my energy. Now, I'm not saying I'm afraid of eating pasta. I eat pasta. That's just not my focus. Now, remember, I'm 50. I'm trying to preserve muscle mass. I'm trying to feel good in my skin, and I'm trying to keep a healthy body fat and increase muscle. So protein is really important. And if you're going to be lifting weights, you need to be eating the protein if you want to see that muscle grow. And it's just the fact. Like, I wish there was, if you're worried about eating too much protein, I mean, definitely talk to a nutritionist, talk to a dietitian, talk to somebody who is certified in these things. Once again, I am not a pro. I'm just giving you my 2 cents and what works. Try Therapy Notes, the #1 rated electronic health record system available today. With live telephone support 7 days a week, it's clear why Therapy Notes is rated 4.9 out of 5 stars on Trustpilot.com and Google. Therapy Notes makes billing, scheduling, note-taking, and telehealth incredibly easy. And now, for all you prescribers out there, Therapy Notes is proudly introducing ePrescribe. And if you're coming from another electronic health record, Therapy Notes makes the transition quite simple, importing your demographic data free of charge so you can get going right away. So why not find out what more than 100,000 mental health professionals already know and try Therapy Notes for 2 months absolutely free. Just click on the link in the show notes or enter the promo code LISA at therapynotes.com. Try it today with no strings attached and see why everyone is switching to Therapy Notes. So with that being said, if I'm focusing on protein as the main staple of my meal, the next thing I'm looking at is some type of unprocessed, non-processed carb, which is going to be some type of starchy vegetable. Potato is a big one. I wish we ate more potatoes, and the reason we don't is they just take more time to prepare. We eat a lot of rice around here. We will have whole grain pasta. What else? We eat quinoa. We eat a lot of quinoa, and I'm trying to think, but those are the main carbs sources that we will eat in the house. I'm thinking what other things, beans, legumes, of course. I'm not saying that, I mean, there's so many programs out there that want to exclude all these things when you first get started in eating healthy. You have to make that decision, like what's best for you. Okay, so that's kind of a little offshoot. The next thing that's important is vegetable. Now, I would recommend when you're looking at your plate, this is how I do it. I got the protein, I got the veggie, and then I got the carbs. So we eat a lot of leafy greens here. I really love the organic greens that I can get at, one of those places like Costco or Sam's Club. I buy those that big tub and the spinach, we get that every week. Actually, we usually put the spinach in the freezer and then we add it to shakes and you just put it in there. You don't even taste it, or I'll saute it. But anyway, I digress. Green beans, broccoli, cauliflower rice, veggies, you name it, peas. I mean, we just eat a lot of vegetables, try to buy organic when we can, as well as fruit. So I'm not a very exciting chef. I do use my crock pot a lot. I try to plan those out. Y'all know we are a very busy family. We have volleyball practice, I swear, 9 nights a week. No, just kidding. So I use my crock pot a lot. I make a lot of chili in the crock pot, much to sometimes it's too much. We have too much chili, but we eat chili. I try to plan those meals out as best that I can. I put a lot of chicken in the crock pot, and then once it's cooked, we shred it and we make tacos with it, or we put it on salad, or we put it in a casserole. Same thing with like ground beef or brisket. We eat a lot of brisket here. Put that in the crock pot. About three nights a week, we're going to be eating something out of the crock pot. And sometimes it's not very exciting. It's not very sexy food, like it's the same thing over and over again, but we make it work here in the Mustard home. And that's how we like to eat. And you and your family might like to eat differently, or maybe you need more variety, and that's up to you. And there's plenty of free resources out there that you can get great healthy recipes, for crock pot or for, large family cooking or casseroles. And then the next question usually is, well, how many times a week do I have to eat healthy? I mean, I personally don't even think like that anymore because we eat like that all the time. So if you're kind of in that place of you want to change what your family is eating, I would suggest, first of all, get the buy-in from your family. Let your husband know you want to do this. Tell your kids you want to do this, and then include them in the meal prep and planning what you're going to eat. Include them in the grocery shopping. Take them with you. Maybe not your husband; he's doing other things, maybe, but take your kids and get them involved in picking out new things for them to try. When the girls go to the store with me, I'm always surprised at what they want to bring home and what they want to try. It's really fun, actually. I enjoy saying, "Okay, y'all pick something out. What do you want?" And what else can I tell you about the meal preps? So protein, healthy carb, vegetable, nutrient dense food is so important because these are going to provide all the vitamins, minerals, fiber. Fiber is really important. And also, I don't know and I'm not going to speak to weight loss, except for a second. I will speak to a little bit to weight loss. But, when it comes to weight loss, it is calories. You have to be looking at your portion sizes, and you're not overeating, and you're making healthy choices, and you're, being very mindful of how much you are eating. A lot of people say, "Oh, I'm really good during the day, but then at night I get the munchies." Well, have things on hand that, you can eat in the evening that are going to satisfy the munchies, but are healthy for you. Frozen fruit's really good. You have to be careful with the nuts. A lot of people like nuts, but those are good for you, but they're very calorie dense. So that's usually sometimes not a very good option. But fruit is really good. Low sugar Greek yogurt's really good. Put some fruit in there, and it's almost like it's like dessert. So I mean, you guys can Google the best of us and look for healthy things that you can eat in the evening. things that are going to help with the healthy cooking, the way that you cook it, baking, grilling, steaming, sauteing instead of frying, less seed oils. I think the better. Try to get in a wide range of colorful fruits and veggies, blueberries and strawberries and peppers and, all the different colors out there. One thing that helps us is when I go grocery shopping, I will wash everything as soon as I can and cut it up so it's there for snacking and we don't have to, because when I want to snack, the last thing I want to do is like go in the fridge and have to wash all the celery. Yeah, I want it to be ready and good to go when I want it. Okay, well, I feel like I've covered this question pretty well. What is it that what I eat and how I prep my food. Real quick to kind of review, I focus on protein first, healthy carb, veggies, and how do I prep my food quickly as possible. No, I like to prep it. We eat a lot of crock pot. We eat a lot of baked chicken, a lot of sauteed ground beef, ground turkey, baked fish, and using that crock pot as much as possible as a busy mom and all the things that we do is just probably been the lifesaver. Actually used to have 2 crock pots, but accidentally burned one. The cord, I burned it up. And I guess, if I want to say if you have questions, definitely turn to a dietitian. You can hire a personal trainer to help you get into a heavy lifting program. Consistency is everything with things like this. If you want to see your body change, if you want to see your health change, it is consistency of effort. You can't just start and then stop and then start and then stop. You have to be consistent with it and you have to find things that you enjoy. A lot of people say they don't enjoy lifting weights. They prefer to do yoga. It's funny, I'm the opposite. Like I know yoga is good for me, but I much prefer to lift weights. So you have to find a way to keep it interesting and fun for yourself. There's so many options out there for lifting weights. There's group fitness, there's personal training. You can get an app that you can do your workouts at home and you don't need to live in the gym for 3 hours. You can get a really good weightlifting workout in 35 to 40 minutes. Maybe even less depending on how often you're training. It's pretty cool. I do recommend, I do like Mind Pump. I like their programs. I have a couple of their programs. I'm not an affiliate, but Mind Pump Media, those guys have some great programs out there. They have like bundled packages that you can buy. I've done a couple of their programs. I've done Fighter Diet, really like Fighter Diet. Her programs, Pauline's programs are great. I also really like Brett Contreras. His programs are good. And Katie Sonier, her programs are just awesome. I'll put the links to those programs in the show notes if you want to check them out. They all have really one thing in common, and that is you're going to be lifting weights and you're going to be doing compound movements. They're not going to tell you to get the 3-pound dumbbells out and do 50 reps. No, all of those programs have that thing in common where they want you to lift the weights and they want you to go as heavy as you can for you. And I mean, that's what I've been doing for 25 years and I have had amazing results. And I love that I can share this with you guys because I feel as though so many women are afraid of the gym. They're afraid of the weights. They're afraid they're going to be all masculine and you're not. Like you couldn't work that hard. Trust me. You can't work that hard to look like a bodybuilder. It's not possible. And they're doing other things as well to look like that. So anyway, I hope y'all found this helpful. I hope that I'll put some links in the show notes too for places that I like to get recipes. Really, I don't necessarily have one off the top of my head that I recommend. I have a couple cookbooks at home that I go to. I think I have a Whole30 one that I really like, but it's if you're struggling with this and it's something you want to change in your life, get really clear on why you want it to change or why this is important to you and tap into that because that's going to be your motivation for change. And change takes time. It takes patience. It takes building habits. It takes being consistent, but I know that you can do it. So I hope y'all found this helpful and happy birthday to me. And I will be in your earbuds again soon. All right, y'all have a great rest of your weekend. Take care. Well, that wraps up another episode of The Therapy Show with Lisa Mustard. I know there are hundreds of thousands of podcasts out there, and I'm thankful you've chosen to listen to mine.
Be sure to visit lisamustard.com to access the show notes and discover more fantastic content.
And I'd be grateful if you subscribe to the show. Thank you.